Welcome back to another episode of Growth Through Can Just Smoke With Me, Miss Pearl. This episode is called Pretty Boy Swag, and it comes from Soldier Boy. This episode is about my perspective on the recent boxing matches of this year. So the first match between Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. I didn't see that one, but I saw the highlights and all the talk leading up to the second one. I didn't go see it because when we got back to the Airbnb, the nap was like, yeah, you here, so go ahead and get comfortable, get laid back. Um, yeah, I'm here with you, so we're gonna do this thing together. So needless to say, I did not make it out, but I did watch the highlights. I did think that Conor Benn was gonna win anyway. The Benavidez and Morrell fight, listen, Morrell hung in there. He took a lot of punishment. David Benavidez be putting it on people's ass from start to finish. I think that the rematch between Cruz and Roach Jr. won't be as close as the first one. Okay, now I was wrong about the Norman Jr. versus Haney fight. Now, on to the Christmas fight, everybody's early Christmas gift. This Jake Paul versus AJ fight. Okay, Jake Paul got out that motherfucker. First of all, thinking, like, it was crazy. People really was betting on Jake Paul to win. Now, that was going to be the entire determining factor, whether this boxing match was rigged or this shit was real. This shit was really about to go down. Welcome back to another episode of Growth Through Can Just Smoke With Me, Miss Pearl. This episode is called Pretty Boy Swag, and it comes from Soldier Boy. This episode is about my perspective on the recent boxing matches of this year. So the first match between Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. I didn't see that one, but I saw the highlights and all the talk leading up to the second one. So the second one was scheduled to be on when I was in California in November, mid-November. So, I didn't go see it because when we got back to the Airbnb, the nap was like, yeah, you here, so go ahead and get comfortable, get laid back. Yeah, I'm here with you, so we're gonna do this thing together. So needless to say, I did not make it out, but I did watch the highlights. I did think that Conor Benn was going to win anyway. And then I was like, listening to some of the history between their fathers, and I was like, oh, okay, now this makes sense. And I was watching like some older videos with a lot of their back and forth and stuff like that. And the fight was pretty good. To me, people were making excuses about Eubank Jr. being drained, weight drained or whatever. My thing is, he knew how much he had to weigh for the fight, so what are we talking about? And he didn't really start getting knocked down until like the late rounds. But Conor Benn, like they said when he was coming in, his intro was fire, A1. It was saying he looked more prepared, more mature, more relaxed. And I could see that with him coming out. His band was fire. The song he chose was fire. Yeah. The Benavidez and Morrell fight, listen, Morrell hung in there. He took a lot of punishment. David Benavidez be putting it on people's ass from start to finish. So when David says that he knows this is why Canelo don't want to fight him, I believe him. And I believe a lot more other people don't want to fight him either. That was a really good fight. It wasn't a close fight at all. Morrell did get some good shots in because he did stumble. Well, not really stumble him, but you can see Benavidez got clipped a couple times in that fight. But it's like the more Benavidez gets clipped, it's like the more rage just comes out. So Benavidez fights are always worth it. I did really, really like that fight. And, just like everybody else, I expected Benavidez to win. Davis and Roach Jr. Let's go ahead and revisit this one. Gervonta should have lost that fight, but Just like in UFC, if you don't beat the champ down to the floor, they're not going to just give it to you. So the draw to me was supposed to be what actually led to the L. I really think that Gervonta was going to lose in the rematch. Now, the rematch between Tank and Pitbull, like, I understand why it won't happen. He beat this man with one hand. I think with two hands, this it's going to be the same decision. And with the way that Pitbull will be throwing shots, I think that Tank would beat him. He might even possibly stop him the second time. That's my honest opinion. But in regards to Roach, I think that Roach, I think Roach should have sued his ass for real, for real. I think he should have just been petty and just sued his goofy ass. And then the whole Tank and Jake Paul fight, it was just like, really? Like, really? This is what we're doing? I'm glad that he backed out of that fight because that would have been a shit show. For real. I couldn't even imagine Coach Calvin there for that shit. Like, I just can't even imagine it. Him really telling Tank what to do in between rounds with fucking Jake Paul. No. Mason versus Noakes was fire 100%. And then thing is, I didn't get to watch it the way I wanted to watch it. I had to download Discord, follow somebody on Twitch, and then watch the fight. And it was a lot to try to watch that fight because the illegal links didn't pop up until like the co-main event and the main event. Sam Noakes took a lot of damage. He did pretty good. So did Abdullah, but I never the way that Abdullah just moves, the way that he adjusts, the way like his calmness, I just cannot bet against him. If he ever got beat up, I will have to see this with my own eyes in order to even believe it. For real, for real. Sam Nooks did great, of course. I think a rematch would just make it. I don't think it would be a draw. I think it would be the same thing, or maybe Sam Nooks gets stopped by Abdullah sooner. I don't think it would go to the decision the second time around. But what I want to see them second time around, yeah, I think they should run it back. I think that Abdullah would definitely, of course, go in the lab and then come out with something completely different. He has this calmness about him, this humbleness about him that reminds me of Terrence Crawford. And the way that Abdullah moves in the ring with that slim fit body, I don't know. I think that he's going to be undefeated for a while. I think that he's a great student. And again, his calmness is what does it for me. Crawford and Alvarez. Now, of course, I was nervous as shit watching this fight, but there was no doubt in my mind Terrence was going to win. But at the same time, Canelo ain't just some regular ass person. You know what I'm saying? We know that Canelo has power, and people talk about that power all the time. I think the press conference was great. Canelo definitely looked defeated. Crawford giving his belts back was, it was great. When Crawford, when the person asked, I said, "When did you know you would beat Canelo?" He said, "As soon as he signed a contract." That was one of the best things, part of the press conference. This shit was funny as shit because you know that he means that. You know that. Honestly, I don't think that Boots would have did anything for Terrence Crawford's career. Like, I really don't. I don't think he would have done anything for it. The Canelo Alvarez fight was very entertaining. And for me, I think it was 15 rounds, then Canelo would have got knocked out. But I think the story, the whole thing played out great. I think people got to like really have a really good look at Crawford this time. Of course, the band that played for him, his outfit, all that was fire from beginning to end. Definitely Canelo underestimated him, and he treated him probably like all the rest of the people he fought. I mean, look at Berlanga's goofy ass. I'm glad that Crawford retired. I mean, he don't have nothing else to prove. And then when you're doing great, you see what happened, the whole thing with him getting stripped for the belts and all that. It doesn't take away what he's done for the sport. It doesn't take away from who he is. It just shows who they are. And it doesn't matter how much money he made. If he's telling you what he's willing to pay, then it is what it is. The whole thing with um, De La Hoya talking about his legacy and the money wasn't that much and this ain't how champions act. Canelo, I mean, De La Hoya, please. Canelo looked at the way Canelo looked at the conference, he looked like he just needed to take some time off and go be with his family for a little bit. There's all this talk about the Cinco de Mayo fights coming up next year and who's going to headline. I still don't think that he's going to fight Benavidez, but it is what it is. Maybe Benavidez will headline it. That'll be a great look. I'll definitely be watching that. Cruz versus Roach Jr. Wow. I think the draw was fair. I think they should run it back. I honestly think the winner should face Tank, but hey, I don't know. I don't know. At this point, just put all three of them in the ring and see who comes out, like WCW. I think that the rematch between Cruz and Roach Jr. won't be as close as the first one. Now, I liked both of their demeanor going into the fight, but definitely Roach gotta tighten up in some areas. I think he prepared, but when you actually get in there, that's when it just, you just get in there. And then that's when the story starts, actually. You train as much as you want, it's just certain things that you don't train for, or certain things that happen in the fight that you weren't prepared for. And you just have to make those adjustments. It was a good fight, and I think the next time around, I think it won't be as close. I would be glad to watch that fight the second time around. Okay, now I was wrong about the Norman Jr. versus Haney fight. Now, I agree a lot with what Tim Bradley was saying because Norman was looking great against his opponents, looking real focused, looking real tuned in, right? Now, people were acting like the shit with Garcia and Ramirez didn't happen with Haney. And it's like, okay, so yeah, Ryan was on the juice. Ryan still beat Haney the fuck up. Like, he beat that nigga up from beginning to end. Okay? Haney was raising his hand like he won. I mean, I'm guessing, or maybe he was raising it like, yeah, I made it all the way to the end. Then, the whole PTSD thing was happening. They tried to sue Ryan because, Ryan was on the juice. He really could have killed Devin. And that was crazy how banged up Devin looked. Now, remember, Devin took off for a minute. Then he had the Ramirez fight in New York City, and he just looked bad. He looked traumatized. He did a lot of running, and it looked like it was a lot of pressure on him. Like he looked comfortable going in, he back, he making his return. But the way that he looked inside the ring, I don't know. It wasn't giving me, oh, Devin's about to come out here and beat up Norman, but he did. And it was good that Rolly beat up Garcia that same night. And he humbled his ass. It was great. Honestly, with the Garcia and Barrios, oh my gosh. Every other, okay, Barrios. The Garcia and Barrios fight, I think that Barrios is going to win that fight. I don't see why Ryan would win. I think that Ryan just, like what Tank said, he just got that one right hook. But Barrios is a pretty good fighter. Pretty good fighter. I definitely think that he's going to beat Garcia when the time comes. I do want to see Devin versus Ryan part 2. Hopefully Ryan won't be on the juice, but I do want to see that. I think that the Brian Norman fight is motivation for the Garcia fight. I think that Garcia, I think that they should go ahead and sign for that fight. Even though he ain't even fought Barrios yet, I think they should go ahead and sign for early. So that right after the Barrios fight, he get his goofy ass back in the gym and prepare for Devin. Now, I do agree with Bill Haney. I don't think that Brian Norman Sr. prepared his son for this fight. And the way that he kept it seemed like he just wanted to just throw the knockout shot after he got dropped. He did not look like his normal self. I know when you go to another country, I heard somebody say this before, and they were in the UFC. They were saying you need to go early so that your body adjusts and that you're even more prepared. I think they came late. I think he was a little cocky, and Devin really did surprise me. But a lot of people had Devin winning. I was just, I guess, surprised at how bad he beat Brian Norman up, and the fact that he got that knockdown so early in the fight. I was just like, wow, I guess this nigga didn't realize like he needed to be there maybe a couple more weeks sooner. I don't know. Something wasn't right. Barrios versus Pacquiao, that fight was crazy. I think that was a really good fight. I think that Barrios could have knocked him out if he wanted to, but I think that he was just going to be criticized whether he did or didn't. It was a great opportunity, but I think Barrios should have went on and went for the knockout. It ain't like Pacquiao ain't been knocked out before, and I'm not saying that it was going to be easy to do it. I just could see, like a lot of people could see, that Barrios was really holding back because of who it was, how old he was, and people was gonna criticize him either way. People was gonna criticize him for the knockout. People was gonna criticize him for going to a decision, and then that shit went all the way to a draw. And I'm just like, okay, it's just gonna be the year draws this year. I honestly think that Boots versus Lima fight was not even really. I don't know. Like this was like a perfect example of a tune-up fight, because I didn't really even see any of Lima's highlights. I went to go look for them, and I'm thinking Lima just started like last week or something, or yeah, maybe he just turned pro like real recently. And then, I guess it was good for the city, but like a lot of other people, I just was not impressed. Um, And the fight just was what it was. Like, if they were saying it's a tune-up fight for his new weight class, then yeah, that's what it looked like. That's honestly what it looked like. It didn't look like Lima should have been in there with him at all. It looked like Lima needed a tune-up fight to prepare for that fight, but it was the other way around. So I don't really know. Like, I wasn't even really excited about the fight, but I watched it because of course it's what's up next, main event, and whatever hype was surrounding it. But I was just like, oh, okay. Before I get to this Christmas gift fight, the Yard versus Benavidez fight. I mean, I was expecting it to be a dog fight. I wasn't expecting Yard to be stopped as soon as he was stopped. At the same time, David Benavidez, David the Mexican Monster is very fitting. It was very fitting. Even though there was like, Norman Jr. versus Haney should have been the main event. I think that Yard and Benavidez been the main event. For that to be the co-main event was a great card. Then of course we had the Sam Noakes and Abdullah Mason fight on that same card. Yeah, David made it look easy, like real easy. And Yard got some pretty good highlights. He's had some pretty good matchups, some close fights with other fighters, but David made that shit look real easy. Now, on to the Christmas fight. Everybody's early Christmas gift. This Jake Paul versus AJ fight. Okay. Jake Paul got out that motherfucker. First of all, thinking, like, it was crazy. People really was betting on Jake Paul to win. Now, that was going to be the entire determining factor, whether this boxing match was rigged or this shit was real. This shit was really about to go down. Now, he got really desperate after Javante was like, fuck this nigga. He got really desperate to find somebody else. So when they said he was fighting AJ, when they said he reached out to Ngannou, I was like, excuse me? I think AJ was perfect. And then Jake got in there and he turned into Martin. When Martin was fighting Tommy the Hitman Hearns, all on the floor. When AJ started beating this nigga when he was on the floor, I was like, man, please just don't get disqualified. But I thought it was very suitable because he was doing the most. And then the fact that his corner, I mean, I guess they have to. As a coach, you got to tell your man, get in there, throw some shots, do that. But come on now. Come the fuck on. Jake Paul was already getting fucked up in just the sparring sessions with the heavyweights. So his game plan was great. The whole running around the ring, falling out, yeah, all that shit was great. Then when AJ fell on top of him and he's acting like he needed a few more minutes because he got hit in his marbles, no sir. When they ran the camera back, I'm like, what are we doing here? Your man needs to catch his breath. But, I could see how it could be a bit frustrating. It could be a bit disappointing when you're promising a crowd a first or second round knockout. Now, for me, AJ didn't even have to do, like, for me, it's no pressure for a first or second round knockout, even with somebody like Jake Paul. My thing was beat this nigga. Beat him the fuck up. Okay? Beat him the fuck up. So I didn't really care about no knockout in the early rounds. Again, like I said, I just was like, please don't let this be some bullshit, some rigged shit. Please don't let this be some rigged ass, bullshit ass Jake Paul typical. He beat up somebody ass fights and he's just winning boxing matches. Like, please. Okay? I don't think me or the rest of the world could have handled AJ losing to this nigga. After all, all that running around, his goofy ass was starting to get tired. And then eventually, AJ caught up to him, knocked his ass out. He came out dressed like Hulk Hogan, got knocked out with the Ric Flair woo. Yeah, it was 1 point. And AJ really looked like he was just getting started. And I know he was criticized by Tyson Fury and quite a few other people told him, I lost respect for him. Nigga, it was $92 million for a sparring session. $92 million for a sparring session with a goofball? Sign me up. Now, with Tyson Fury talking all this shit, I hope he can back that shit up. I honestly think that AJ would beat Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. That's just my pick for those two fights if they ever happen. With the way that Deontay looked against Tyson Fury, I think that AJ would be worse than that, or it would be just as bad. I definitely know it would be a knockout. Now with the Tyson Fury fight, I don't know, but I'm be tuned in to watch that one. I do think that AJ should be motivated now to go out and beat Tyson Fury. When they said that AJ had to come in under 245 pounds and he came in at 243 and he said he was feeling better, I was like, yeah, this is a new day for him. And I'm not mad at him for going out there and putting on that show. I'm not. However long it was going to take, Jake did not see the end, so mission accomplished. And it was a Christmas gift for all of us, really. I was happy to see that. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? Maybe you got something from it. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you'll be back next week. Maybe you won't. I don't know. Either way, this has been Growth Through Ganja Smoke with me, Miss Pearl.